So good evening. It's my pleasure and privilege to be with you again tonight. My name is Dr. Beverly Lewis, and I thought while people are still arriving and before we begin, I would introduce you to another potential resource, which is the website of the Lewis Institute for Health and Wellbeing. I am a co-founder and director of the Lewis Institute, which together with Dr. Daniel Lewis, we devised about 14 years ago. The website, pathways-to-wellbeing.com, suggests that what we actually do is we provide a structure of pathways to enhance health and wellbeing with the intention of providing people with understanding, skills and inspiration in the areas of the pathways they can take to enhance their health. So I just wanted to let you know this is a possible resource. We are on social media with Facebook, Twitter, and more recently Instagram, which is focused on meditation and bringing inspirational images and words to the days of people who choose to check it out. The other thing to say is that this website does have a resources library, and in it, because meditation is an important pathway, we do have literature on meditation, in particular the medical and neuroscientific understandings that are developing and the implications these can have for our lives. So if you're at all interested, we have a healthy letter that you can register by going onto the website, register your email address and get the healthy letter. And we also conduct a More Than Meditation course, which is a 5-week course, and the next one begins in November. So just to give you an idea of the resources that are available via this website, but most importantly, you're here tonight, and so what you're getting is a distillation of what's in the library and a distillation of what we do in our course. So you're in the box seat. So there are many different ways in which we can meditate. There are many different purposes for meditation, and the intention of this 3-part series is to have us explore ways of enhancing our ability to overcome distractions and obstacles, to discover what might lie beyond. And tonight we begin our journey into the middle part of this series. And in the middle of overcoming obstacles and distractions, it's always good to recognise what you can control and what you can't. And so this is an opportunity to filter out any unwanted external distractions by way of mobile phones and any other computer devices that you may have in your possession. And so here we are in the process of deconstructing meditation. And we are building out of these sessions what I term, and I know is not easy for a lot of the room to read, but I'm calling a From Distraction to Discovery Inner Resources Toolkit. And if you'd like to think of a toolkit, an inner resources toolkit in any way that you will, you've probably never thought that you are carrying with you a lifetime's experience, and you will already have many inner resources within you. What we're aiming to do as part of this series is to add different understandings that might assist you to move beyond where you are and where you want to go. And so last week we spoke about the warm-up phase of a meditation. And to move into the middle tonight, we're going to be able to revisit the warm-up phase, which is good for anybody who wasn't here last week. Can I just have an indication of who wasn't here last week so I get a sense? Okay, good. So there's quite a number of you. So we will be moving once more through the warm-up phase of meditation to get into the middle. But last week, just as a reminder to those who are here, the areas that we were focusing on were coming to the senses, activating the relaxation response, and anchoring our awareness in the breath. And we're going to revisit those areas as we move into the middle of the meditation tonight. So what I'd like to do to begin is our warm-up, the warm-up component of a meditation. Cannot be underestimated in its value for allowing you to move into stillness when you are ready. And you don't need to feel as if you need to hurry to move into stillness. However, I invite you now as you're sitting there, and we might lower the lights a little just to allow you to bring in some more inner focus. Make yourself comfortable in the way that you are. And you can bring your awareness now to your ankles and how they connect your feet and your lower legs. Bring your attention now to your clothes where you're noticing them on your skin. And now to another part of your body where you weren't noticing your clothes until now. And you can close your eyes at any time that you want to bring in an additional inner focus, now or later, and become aware of any sounds. The temperature of the air on your hands, any taste in your mouth, any scent in the air. And then when you're ready, I'd like you to open your eyes and notice something that is somewhere that draws your eyes to it. I know the lights are down. It doesn't matter if it's a shadow, a shape. Allow your eyes to go there and observe it as if you've never seen it before. Allow your eyes to become absorbed in what you're looking at. And then when you're ready, allow your gaze to extend, and with your eyes looking forward and open now, observe the two front corners of the room at the one time with a soft gaze, allowing your gaze to zoom out to take in the two front corners of the room. And then allow your vision to expand fully and take in whatever else you are noticing. And now we'll turn up the lights. Thank you. And so there were some questions that came up from last week. We have a question corner down at the back of the room for any comments or questions that we can take into the next session. So I'd like to bring up some of these questions. So the first question that we had last week is it okay to take off my shoes? And so I'd like to direct that to you. Do you think it's okay to take off your shoes? And why so many of you nodding? Okay, to feel more comfortable. Yeah, to some people it doesn't make a difference, but to other people it allows them to move into comfort. The other question, is it okay to sit on the floor? Okay. Why? Comfort. Okay, so we're covering some of the questions that were asked. The next one, is it okay to fall asleep? I've got a no. Any yeses? Okay, you're very relaxed. Yes, and you can move into sleep. So the thing to be clear on here is that when you are sleeping, you are not meditating. However, in the process of sitting here tonight, Should you find yourself nodding off, which is usually preempted by the head slowly lowering, you can become aware and reverse the process, which looks something like this, which looks like just bringing your head back as if nobody would really know. Not that we're concerned about what other people know, but the amount of awareness that you bring to bringing your head back slowly is enough to stimulate your nervous system to bring you back. Now, tonight we're going to move on to how to manage thinking patterns that can very often arise after we've gotten ourselves comfortable. And I want to give you a practical sense of how it is when we are able to filter out our thinking patterns so that we can shift our focus in a way that's useful to us. And to enable that, we're going to do a shower meditation. Has anybody here done a shower meditation before? Okay, so it's going to be a new experience. And in this shower meditation, we are going to focus on 2 different ways in which you can take a shower. And it's that simple. I will guide you through it. We will do a warm-up phase. We'll move into the shower phase, and then I'll invite you to return your attention to the room, and we'll see what we've discovered. So once again, I might have the lights just down a touch. Thank you. So again, while the lights are becoming a little dimmer, make yourself comfortable in the way that feels right for you at this point in time, and making any adjustments that you want to make. Becoming aware of your feet on the floor and the contact that your heels have with the floor. Now bring your awareness to your hands and how they are placed, and to the sensations within your fingertips. Then bring your attention to any sounds, any taste in your mouth, any smell or scent in the air that you're aware of, and the temperature of the air as you breathe it in. And as you do that, you can notice how your breathing has become slower and deeper, naturally and effortlessly, without you having to try to do anything. And you may notice some expansion somewhere in your chest region, maybe even in your abdominal area, as your breath naturally deepens in its own way, in its own time. And we've now gone through the warm-up phase of focusing on the senses and inviting in the relaxation response, which is the mechanism in our physiology that brings back the balance. And now we're ready to move into the middle part of the meditation, the shower meditation. So I invite you to imagine yourself waking up in the morning and finding yourself in the shower, adjusting the taps to get the water temperature right. As you're doing that, you start thinking about yesterday and the activities of yesterday that you haven't yet completed. You go back to adjusting the shower tap. Again, the temperature's not quite right. And you find yourself thinking about next week and how next week there's an event or an activity that you're organising and you don't know how you're going to get it done. By this time, you decide you've spent enough time in the shower. You turn off the tap and you move out of the shower, pick up a towel, dry yourself quite hurriedly, get dressed, and prepare to leave the house for the day. As you walk out of the door, front door, and it gives a thud behind you, you notice that you're looking down, deep in thought, thinking how much you're behind the activities you need to be in front of, and you don't know how you're going to catch up. That's the scenario of shower 1. So in the space of a shower meditation, I now invite you to take another shower. This time, you wake up in the morning, you go to your wardrobe area, and you look at what you want to wear for the day. You make your choice of clothes based on colour, texture, what you're going to feel good wearing, and that you know is suitable. You bring those clothes somewhere near the shower, and you get ready to run the water, which you do until the temperature of the shower is just right. You undress, move into the shower, and there you find yourself standing with the water flowing from head to toe, all over your body at just the right temperature. And in the process, you hear the shower, the water actually cascading down over your body, and the soft gurgling of the water as it goes down through the drain. You even notice some of the water splashing up against your body in little droplets, and these droplets sparkle in the light. You then reach across for the soap, which has your favourite fragrance embodied in it. You pick it up in your wet hand, and before you begin to wash, you take it up to your nose. You lift your head and you smell in the scent. You then begin to lather up all over your body, and you wash. Then you rinse. Then you turn off the tap, dry yourself with the warm, fluffy, soft towel that's just near the shower. You're now dry, you dress, and as you go out of the front door in the morning, you click it gently behind yourself. You notice you have a smile on your face as the fragrance of the soap is lingering on the warmth of your skin, and you're going to be taking that with you. You are also aware of how your feet are firmly in contact with the ground as you step forward. And as you raise your head, you become aware that you are creating a new day and that you can manage anything that comes your way, and that you may even surprise yourself in the process. And now we enter the warm down phase, which is you becoming aware of sitting in the chair in the room. Becoming aware of whatever it is you're aware of in that space in which you are. Becoming aware of which part or parts of your body you want to move first, second and third, and then bringing yourself gently back into the room. And we will gradually turn the lights up. think you might agree with me that those shower meditations were somewhat at either end of a spectrum of how you could take a shower. But I'm wondering, and I'm interested, could anybody recognise themselves in scenario 1 at times? What we might call the hurried shower. And what I didn't really emphasise so much in the place of the hurried shower were the thoughts going into the past, going into the future. Then we had scenario 2. Now, I don't know if anybody takes a shower as I depicted in scenario 2, which is fully being in focus of the senses and with the steps as to how to enjoy a good shower. Has anybody here ever brought themselves to be in a shower in this way? It's good to see we have some nods of the head. However, I think the point that I want to make, and we're going to evolve the understandings with regard to the shower meditation, is you actually have choices how you do things and how you break them down into steps. And so we'll be evolving that idea. Last week, I defined meditation as maintaining the present moment. And I want to open up some understandings as to what that means and how you might do it. Essentially, the body is always in the present moment. So whenever we align our mind with our body, or simply as you've done a couple of times this evening, notice how your feet are placed, notice your hands, notice any of your senses. You are bringing yourself into the present moment. Maintaining the present moment is keeping on bringing yourself back when you know that your attention has wandered, which it does because we're human beings and our attention does wander. But the understanding and the skill is to know how to bring yourself back to what you want to focus on. And where it's important is aligning the mind and the body gives us access to a level of health and well-being that really is the origin of all the literature we're now reading about how good meditation is for us. So it's essentially aligning the mind with the body, because otherwise our thinking patterns can create an imbalance in our minds and our bodies. And if you think back to scenario 1 of the hurried shower meditation, you have a sense of how asynchronous the mind was with the body. The mind was focusing on concerns in the past, concerns in the future about what was going to happen in a week's time, and the body in the process may not have even been washed. The body was overlooked. And so that asynchronicity between the mind and the body is a means by which you can create discord in the mind and the body. Hence the power of meditation when we bring the mind and the body to align. And it can be very useful to observe the direction of your thinking. As human beings, we spend a lot of time thinking about the past, thinking about the future. And it's good to recognise that that's where our thinking patterns tend to take us, not in that it is bad, but in the awareness that that is a natural part of being a human being. In that process, though, of recognising that's where our thinking patterns can go, we can invite acceptance as to recognising, oh, there go my thoughts into the future about next week. I'm going to bring back my focus because that's not useful to me now while I'm in the shower washing, for example. And so we can gain some facility with understanding where our mind can go and how we can gently bring it back. And so just going to the second shower, all we really had to do in that scenario was use the soap, use an awareness of the sound of the water to bring ourselves back. And so I really invite you, when you're having a shower next, to notice what you like to focus on to bring yourself back into the present moment, and to allow any thinking patterns that are not useful to you to just disperse or be there, but not in the foreground, to distract your attention to what you really want to do at that point in time. Now, just before we move on, any questions? Okay, so now we're going to get up to one of the most important things you need to know about thinking patterns is that they are not you, and that you can watch them like clouds going across the horizon, where you are the observer, and when the clouds have passed, only you remain. And so if there aren't any further questions at this point in time.
Just wondering, when is it appropriate to think about those things?
When it's useful. So when you say those things, you're thinking...
Saying about the past and the future.
When it's useful, and then it's important to differentiate between overthinking and useful thinking. Because our thoughts for the future, or our thoughts that we cast into the future or that we run into the future, and our thoughts in the past, can actually catch us up in them. And in the process of meditation, we have an opportunity to even see how caught up we are in them. However, in the process of bringing ourselves into the present moment, becoming aware of our feet on the floor, we can start creating some space. And in that space, we can start to discover for ourselves when it is useful and when it is not. It's not to say that it isn't useful, but there are times and places, and that distinction between useful analysis and over-analysis. Some people will be thinking about something that somebody said to them last week for days. So there's probably a point at which, if they stopped and brought themselves to their senses, maybe in the shower in the morning, they would realise that's not useful to keep carrying forward into the day. It distracts them from what they really do want to focus on. And so part of this training is to have the recognition that we can focus on what's useful to us, but we don't usually ask ourselves the question, what is useful? So your question is really great. What is useful to focus on and when? Okay, so everybody's sitting so quietly and still, so let's move into another meditation. I call this the cloud meditation for obvious reasons. And so, David, when you're ready, I'll get you to lower the light. Again, this is a guided meditation, but during it, I will give you some time where I won't be speaking, so that you can move in and explore the space in which you find yourself more fully. And as we begin, once again, with comfort in mind, make any adjustments to your position in your chair that you choose. And know that you can move yourself into a light level of deep comfort, a deep level of light comfort, or any combination thereof. There is no right way or wrong way to do this, only your way. And so in the space of sitting in the chair, Become aware of how you are sitting and the extent to which you're aware of the support of the chair under you and behind you. Become aware of how your elbows are resting. And now the sounds in this room can be brought to your attention. Any taste in your mouth, any scent in the air. And as you do that, just notice how your breathing has naturally become slower and deeper. And you may be experiencing some sense of relaxation somewhere in a small part of your body or in a larger part of your body. Wherever you may be noticing, whatever you're noticing. And as you're sitting comfortably now, you can imagine that you're sitting somewhere where you're gazing out to the horizon. You are somewhere where you have a broad vista and you can see blue sky. You're sitting very comfortably and there's a sense of stillness that you're moving into in your own way, in your own time. And you start to notice some clouds moving across the horizon from one side. They've just come into your vision. They're small, fluffy clouds. So small and fluffy, in fact, that as they move across towards the centre of the horizon that you can see, you can watch them just dissipate and disappear, as if they're made from cotton wool, and they disperse into the air. You notice how you're sitting, gazing out, wondering about how those clouds dispersed into seemingly thin air. And then you notice there's a bit of a wind, and you feel the wind on your skin. And you might even notice a change in the smell of the air as you begin to notice, coming into vision, are big, black, heavy, billowing clouds. And you watch those moving across the horizon. They look much more turbulent, and even as you are watching them, you can feel the wind picking up, and the smell of the air is suggesting that there is a change. You watch the clouds, the big, thick, heavy clouds now moving across the horizon until they are moving out of view and you can no longer see them. The wind now becomes much more settled and you find yourself sitting very comfortably, noticing the steadiness of the horizon and the blue sky. And in the space of being able to watch the clouds come and go, where only you remain. You have a sense of your own stillness and calm and steadiness. And in a few moments, my voice will become silent and allow you the full space of experiencing what you are noticing as you move into stillness. And at the end of 7 minutes, my voice will return You can remain as comfortable as you choose, and I will start to guide you through the warm down phase of meditation. And so, as my voice becomes silent, I can tell you that the 7 minutes of moving into stillness, anchoring yourself in your breath to bring yourself back when you notice that your thinking starts to wander, is what you're going to be exploring in amongst the spaciousness of being in your own space, in your own way. And the 7 minutes begins now. And the 7 chronological minutes has now passed. And you can remain as relaxed as you choose as we begin the warm down part of the meditation. And so as you are sitting, maybe still gazing out to the horizon, I don't know quite where you've taken yourself. But if you can imagine now bringing your attention to a horizon and knowing that in this space of this meditation, you've been gazing at clouds which are like thinking patterns that come into your awareness, move across it, and move out of it. And in the process of watching the thinking patterns, you can also become aware of the spaces between the thinking patterns, between the clouds, between my words, the spaces. And in the space and spaces are discoveries beyond what you may find when you get caught up in the thinking patterns. The space between the thinking patterns. And it's curious that it is really only in meditation that you give yourself the opportunity to see how you can step back from those thinking patterns and watch them come and go with you remaining in your seat as you are now. And you might like to become aware that that's where you're sitting now, in a room, sitting steadily in a chair. Becoming aware in this warm-up phase that you've brought yourself here tonight to experience something possibly, to discover something possibly. And in the space of you sitting here and being in your chair, you have brought yourself to the present moment through your senses. You have shifted into the relaxation response through your breath and your attention to your senses. You have used your breath as an anchor point to bring yourself back when your attention wanders. You have been showering in different ways. You've been gazing at horizons and clouds. And you get to choose now what is useful for you to focus on in the next week ahead, in the days ahead. What is it that you want to take out of this room? And it may be that it's not very clear at this point in time, but you have a sense, like the fragrance of the soap in the shower, that there is something calling to you to immerse yourself in, to enable you to focus on what it is that you want to focus on, what is useful to you. And so recognizing the journey that you have brought yourself on tonight and you will continue on outside of this room, I invite you to become aware of what part or parts of your body you would like to start moving as you bring yourself back into a full focus in the room. And the lights will again assist the expansion of our vision to a fuller external focus. There is the facility for any questions to be written down that you'd like me to bring into next week's session. The preview for next week's session is how do we overcome the distractions that life brings when we're looking to create some stillness, some quiet, a meditation practice. And for those of you who are still wondering, how can I manage the noise in my head when I move into stillness? That will be the focus of next week's session. And thank you for the stillness that you've brought to the room.